Today, we've got the latest updates on our beloved club, Arsenal FC. But before we dive in, make sure to subscribe so you never miss a moment of Gunners Talk Daily News. Let's get started. Arsenal will have plenty of time to prepare for the first leg of a Champions League semi-final tie if they are to reach the final four of UEFA's premier competition. Mikel Arteta's side are in such a promising position to advance to the next stage of the competition after beating Real Madrid 3-0 at the Emirates Stadium on Tuesday evening. Declan Rice stole all the headlines with two majestic free kicks that left Thibaut Courtois helpless in his goal, with Mikel Merino then adding a third of the night in the closing stages. Los Blancos do have history of coming from behind to advance in the Champions League, but they will have to produce something very special indeed if they are to knock out Arsenal. The winner of the tie will either come up against PSG or Aston Villa in the semi-finals. PSG are the favorites to qualify at present after securing a 3-1 win in the French capital heading into next Tuesday's return leg in the Midlands. If Arsenal are to seal a semi-final berth, then they will certainly have time on their side prior to the first leg. The reason is because of the recent fixture change involving their home match against Crystal Palace that was initially in the calendar for Saturday, April 26th. The Eagles are in FA Cup semi-final action against Aston Villa that day, meaning a new date had to be found for the Arsenal fixture. It was confirmed at the beginning of the month that the match would be brought forward and played at the Emirates Stadium on Wednesday, April 23rd, with the game getting underway at 8 p.m. As a result of the fixture amendment, Arsenal's next match in the calendar is on Saturday, May 3rd, when they play Bournemouth in a 5:30 p.m. kickoff in North London. Should the Gunners get the better of Real Madrid next Wednesday to clinch their place in the Champions League semi-finals, the first leg of the Final Four encounter, which would be played at the Emirates Stadium if Arsenal progress, will take place directly between the Crystal Palace and Bournemouth matches. The Champions League semi-final first legs are due to be played on either Tuesday, April 29th, or Wednesday, April 30th. As the Gunners have no match the weekend before now because of the Crystal Palace fixture switch, Arteta's men could potentially have 7 days at best between their games if the first leg of a potential European semi-final is to be played on the Wednesday evening rather than the Tuesday. If not, Arsenal would have 6 days to prepare if they are penciled in for a Tuesday showdown. That is certainly sufficient time to plan for a game of such magnitude and something Arteta and his players would be looking to take full advantage of. The North London club, of course, won't have that luxury ahead of the second leg, which would be played away from home on either Tuesday, May 6th, or Wednesday, May 7th. As mentioned above, their home fixture against Bournemouth comes a few days before the second leg of the Champions League semi-finals. Following the second leg, Arsenal would have quite the Premier League fixture to return to if they are involved in the Final Four of the Champions League, as an away trip to Liverpool follows. The game at Anfield is due to be played at 4:30 p.m. on Sunday, May 11th. Meanwhile, Arsenal have 1 foot in the semi-finals of the Champions League after their dismantling of Real Madrid on Tuesday evening. Mikel Arteta's side crucially taken advantage to the Santiago Bernabéu next Wednesday after recording a stunning 3-0 victory. Declan Rice put Arsenal on their way with 2 incredible free kicks that left Thibaut Courtois with no chance, before Mikel Merino added a third with 15 minutes remaining after finding the bottom corner from the edge of the box. Heading into the game in North London, Arsenal fans were hopeful of recording a positive result to take with them to the Spanish capital, and also that Rice, Jurrien Timber, and Gabriel Martinelli would come through the match without a yellow card. The Arsenal trio were all on 2 yellow cards going into the first leg of their quarter-final tie, meaning a caution in Tuesday's match would see them obtain a 1-match suspension for 3 bookings in the competition and subsequently sit out the pivotal second leg at the home of the current Champions League holders. All 3 players managed to go without a yellow card in the 3-0 win at the Emirates, as Thomas Partey was the only Arsenal player to receive a booking. Partey has now joined his 3 Arsenal teammates on 2 yellow cards in the competition so far, and he himself is now a suspension risk. A caution for Rice, Timber, Martinelli, or Partey in Madrid next Wednesday, and they would miss the first leg of a Champions League semi-final tie if the Gunners do indeed go on to make the Final Four. Next week's quarter-final second leg is key in regards to UEFA's rules for yellow cards, as bookings do expire on completion of the quarterfinals. Article 52.04 states, exceptionally, all yellow cards and pending yellow card suspensions expire on completion of the playoffs. They are not carried forward to the group stage. In addition, all yellow cards expire on completion of the quarterfinals. They are not carried forward to the semifinals. Amid the confusion that the Arsenal quartet would escape a one-match ban for the first leg of a prospective semi-final, even if they are booked next Wednesday against Real Madrid, they would indeed still serve a one-match ban if they see yellow at the Santiago Bernabéu. That is because they would have picked up 3 yellow cards prior to the completion of the quarter-final ties, meaning a one-match ban would be given as punishment. If they do not receive yellow cards, then the slate is effectively wiped clean for the semi-finals, as their bookings would not be carried forward. As yellow cards expire on completion of the quarter-finals, a player cannot be suspended for the final, even if they are cautioned in both legs of a victorious semi-final tie. The only way they could be banned for the Champions League final is if they were to receive a red card in the semi-final second leg, or if they were dismissed for violent conduct in the first leg. In other news, Arsenal believe they will have a clear run at Martin Zubimendi, but are facing more competition on their striker targets. Real Madrid have also been heavily linked with Real Sociedad midfielder Zubimendi, with the Spain star having a £51 million buyout clause in his contract. Despite the arrival of Arsenal's new sporting director Andrea Berta, the Gunners had already put in an exhaustive amount of work on getting a deal done for Zubimendi, who is hugely admired by Mikel Arteta. The foundations have been laid for the midfielder, and Real Madrid have yet to push ahead with concrete interest to see if they could hijack any potential deal. But Arsenal's plans for a new forward are less well advanced, with Berta championing Sporting Lisbon striker Victor Gyökeres. Arsenal boss Arteta is a long-standing admirer of Newcastle striker Alexander Isak, while they have scouted and courted RB Leipzig striker Benjamin Sesko for well over a year. Manchester United boss Ruben Amorim knows Gyökeres from his time at Lisbon, and there will be no shortage of interest in him. Chelsea are showing interest in Ipswich's Liam Delap, but also hold an interest in Sesko, who appeals because he is young and raw, but has all the assets, pace and physicality, which put him on Arsenal's radar in the first place. That identification has served Arsenal well to date, with the likes of Jurrien Timber a huge success before Edu quit the club earlier this season. Sesko looked to be the outstanding choice, but now who they go for as the number 1 will be an interesting indicator on the direction of travel on transfers. Arsenal also want a left winger with Athletic Bilbao's Nico Williams and Espanyol keeper Joan Garcia as a new number 2 in what could be a busy summer. But it would be inconceivable for them to do all of that business without outgoings, and there has been interest in both Leandro Trossard and Gabriel Martinelli. Meanwhile, Arsenal are confident of securing new contracts for both Ethan Nwaneri and Miles Lewis-Skelly. Football.London understands. The duo have both had breakout seasons for the Gunners this year, with Lewis-Skelly in particular playing a key role for Mikel Arteta's side. The 18-year-old has made the left-back role his own since coming into the team, earning a call-up to the senior England team in March when he scored on his debut against Albania in a game where he was named player of the match. Nwaneri, meanwhile, has helped shoulder some of the creative burden in the team during Bukayo Saka's absence due to a hamstring injury. The youngster has contributed 8 goals and 2 assists in all competitions so far this season, with 14 starts to his name. The young star famously made his Arsenal debut at the age of 15, coming off the bench to make history as the youngest Premier League player of all time. Heading into the summer, Nwaneri will only have 1 year remaining on his first professional contract, but his future with the Gunners is not thought to be in any doubt. Preliminary discussions have been taking place with both players for some time, Football.London understands, with the club looking to tie down both players, who are also very keen to stay. Naturally, after coming through the academy, both are expected to receive significant pay rises after sealing their new contracts. New deals for the 2 young stars will likely be one of the first bits of business to come under the purview of new sporting director Andrea Berta, and Football London understands that their emergence into the first team has also changed the club's summer transfer plans. Contract talks for other key stars like Saka, William Saliba, and Gabriel Magalhaes are also said to be on the agenda for Berta moving forward, with the Gunners eyeing incoming transfers this summer. Arteta himself stated that he and the club are excited about plans for the transfer window. "It's going to be a big one, Summer, and we are very excited about it," the manager told reporters last week. "When you are going to go again, we want to increase the depth of the squad and the quality and the skills that we need to go to the next step. Every summer is big because it is an opportunity, and especially because of the number of players we have in the squad right now that is necessary. But it's a big summer for many things, because first of all, we have to maintain the good foundations that we have, and then obviously, how can we improve and evolve the team?" Moreover, Mikel Arteta provided an injury update on Bukayo Saka and Declan Rice following Arsenal's 3-0 win against Real Madrid in the first leg of their Champions League quarter-final showdown. The duo led the Gunners to victory at the Emirates Stadium on Tuesday night, defeating Los Blancos in spectacular fashion. Rice broke the deadlock in the second half with a brilliant free kick, bending around the wall to beat Thibaut Courtois. A few moments later, the England international doubled Arsenal's lead with another sensational set piece, this time finding the top corner. Mikel Merino extended the North Londoners' lead in the final quarter of an hour with a beautifully curled attempt from just inside the box. Shortly before he netted the third and final goal of the tie, Saka was replaced by Leandro Trossard. The 23-year-old England star has recently returned from a long spell on the sidelines. Saka suffered a hamstring injury during Arsenal's 5-1 win over Crystal Palace back in December, and he underwent surgery a few days later. The Hale End graduate spent the next 4 months in the treatment room before marking his return with a goal in the Gunners' 2-1 win over Fulham at the start of April. Arteta has been carefully managing Saka's minutes, handing him a couple of cameo appearances before throwing him into the starting lineup against Real Madrid. Speaking to reporters after the game, the Arsenal manager was asked for an injury update. Arteta said, "I think Dec had an issue with his foot. I don't know if it was a tackle or what it was. And Bukayo it was after he got tackled on the foul. I think he had a knock, and he had to go." While the Gunners may fancy their chances against Los Blancos at the Santiago Bernabéu in the second leg, they're set to still be without some key players. Gabriel Jesus sustained an injury to the anterior cruciate ligament in his left knee during Arsenal's clash against Manchester United back in January. The 28-year-old Brazilian striker has since undergone surgery and started a rehabilitation program, but he's not expected to be back until October. Kai Havertz suffered a hamstring injury during Arsenal's warm-weather training camp in Dubai in February. The 25-year-old makeshift striker also underwent surgery on the muscle issue before beginning a rehabilitation program, which is expected to run into pre-season. Riccardo Calafiori suffered a knee injury during Italy's clash against Germany during March's international break. The 22-year-old defender needed on-field treatment after awkwardly slipping. More recently, Gabriel Magalhaes pulled up during Arsenal's win against Fulham at the start of the month. He quickly signaled to the bench that he couldn't carry on, waving his hand in the air. The Gunners have recently confirmed that the 27-year-old defender requires surgery, ruling him out for the remainder of the season. On Gabriel's absence, Arteta said, "It was a tough one to digest because we just got Bukayo back, and then we lost Gabby. It was tough. The team reacted like it has reacted all season, so we are really proud of that. And we know that he's going to be out for a while, so we need to find different solutions and keep competing the way we have been all season." Last, and by no means least, Takahiro Tomiyasu remains out of action with a knee injury. He had missed the large majority of last season with a calf problem, and he's played 6 minutes this term. Meanwhile, Arsenal have the opportunity to pull off one of the greatest Champions League upsets in the Bernabéu next week as they take on Real Madrid. Thanks to Declan Rice and Mikel Merino, Arsenal already have 3 goals under their belt, while Los Blancos are still yet to score a goal against the Gunners. Across their entire competitive history, it should be noted. The Premier League is in a strange state for Arsenal, considering the fact that the title race is all but wrapped up, and Liverpool are expected to win the campaign. Unfortunately, circumstances have transpired with injuries and controversial decisions that have denied Arsenal a chance to put on the challenge they hoped they could achieve. Now it is about conserving the final chance of silverware, which happens to be the Champions League. While momentum is key and keeping that up against Brentford is very important, the Gunners need to be prepared and can afford to rotate to protect their stars. Both Declan Rice and Bukayo Saka came off with knocks against Real Madrid that Mikel Arteta confirmed are not serious. However, I would not risk either this weekend, especially when Arteta has the players available to cope with them being on the bench. Jorginho and Oleksandr Zinchenko can partner each other again with Thomas Partey also getting another important rest, while Martin Odegaard would naturally continue in midfield too as he tries to find his form. Ethan Nwaneri can cover on the right-hand side, while Raheem Sterling can come in for Gabriel Martinelli again. He had a good game against Everton and set up Leandro Trossard, who starts here again up top for the opening goal. In the defense, both William Saliba and Jakub Kiwior remain for now the only feasible options in the middle. Ben White can, however, give Jurrien Timber a break, while Kieran Tierney can operate as the left back. It is drastic, it is a lot of change, and frankly, I would be shocked if there is this much rotation. But it surprised me at Everton how many changes there were, and therefore nothing can be discounted. Changed Arsenal, first 11 versus Brentford: Raya, White, Saliba, Kiwior, Tierney, Jorginho, Zinchenko, Odegaard, Nwaneri, Trossard, Sterling, again and again. Kylian Mbappe has sent a rallying call to his Real Madrid teammates in the face of their Champions League horror show versus Arsenal. The Spanish Giants find themselves 3-0 down against the Gunners after a stunning quarter-final first leg at the Emirates. Two brilliant free kicks from England midfielder Declan Rice and a further strike from makeshift forward Mikel Merino have put Mikel Arteta's side firmly in charge of the tie. And Mbappe has now spoken out with a simple message. Taking to his Instagram story, the Frenchman shared an image of himself during the game with the caption, "Hay que creer hasta el final," which translates to, "You have to believe until the end." Mbappe, 26, will certainly be aiming to have a big impact during the second leg at the Bernabéu next week. The striker already has 32 goals to his name this season across what has been a standout debut campaign in Spain. And he is not the only Madrid star refusing to admit defeat ahead of next week's decisive second leg. England midfielder Jude Bellingham has also suggested that an unlikely comeback could be on the cards for his side despite a dismal performance in North London. "We were nowhere near it," Bellingham told Amazon Prime. "That's the fact, and Arsenal were really good. I know 2 of their goals were free kicks, but they could have had way more. There is a second leg, and that's what we're holding on to. We need something really special, something crazy really, but one place where crazy things happen is our house. We've got 90 more minutes at home to pull something out of the bag. We're still alive, we've got 90 minutes of football, and anything can happen at the Bernabéu." Boss Carlo Ancelotti, however, is slightly more downbeat ahead of the second leg and admitted that a comeback will be extremely tricky. The Italian said, "The result means that Arsenal were much better than us. The game was a bit different. For 60 minutes the game was level, and then they shoot 2 fantastic free kicks. The game, it changes. The reaction, mentally we went down. We had a problem in the final 30 minutes of the game. Now it will be very difficult in the second leg, but we have to try." Ahead of the second leg in Spain, Real will be aiming to get back to winning ways this weekend. They take on Alaves on Sunday with the aim of reducing Barcelona's 4-point advantage at the top of La Liga. Meanwhile, Arsenal are also back in action this weekend as they host Brentford on Saturday evening. Meanwhile, if Arsenal can indeed progress beyond Los Blancos next week, then they will set up a semi-final showdown against either Aston Villa or PSG. A place in the final 4 of the competition will result in the Gunners boosting the coffers even further after claiming plenty of money for their performances in the competition so far. As ever, the Champions League is extremely profitable for all clubs taking part due to the prize money on offer, which is in addition to the value pillar, which is a combination of payments based on a 10-year club coefficient ranking and the broadcast revenue share of all participating countries. In regards to prize money for performance in the competition, each club involved in the league phase received £15.587 million, and teams then had the chance to enhance their earnings with £1.75 million up for grabs for a league phase win and £585,000 for a league phase draw. Further money is then on offer for how far a club progresses in the competition, with £15.48 million awarded to each team reaching the final. Whoever wins the final at the Allianz Arena in late May then receives a further £5.44 million on top of their money for making the final. As things stand right now, Arsenal have secured £55.822 million in prize money so far. A total of £11.085 million came from their results in the league phase after winning 6 and drawing one of their 8 fixtures. Arteta's men then secured a further cash boost of £7.82 million in the league phase, as each position was worth £230,000. That figure was in addition to the £15.587 million just for qualifying for the league phase. A top 8 finish earned another £1.67 million, with £9.2 million coming in from reaching the round of 16 and a further £10.46 million for progression to the quarter-finals, thus bringing about a total of £55.822 million. Other than the prize of a place in the semi-finals, if they beat Real Madrid over 2 legs, Arsenal will secure a windfall of £12.55 million if they make the final 4. Make the final, and that would earn another £15.48 million, with that figure increasing to £20.92 million if they win the competition for the first time in their history. There is the possibility that the North London club could earn an extra £33.47 million in prize money in this season's Champions League. Pocketing £55.822 million so far, they could secure an eye-watering sum of £89.292 million in prize money in total if they are to triumph in Munich come Saturday, May 31st. Again and again.